Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Majestic Star Dragon Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for August 2019. I'm actually trying to tweak the Stardust Dragon deck in different ways, and I figured I'd focus on the Majestic Star lineup. This involves the Synchro monsters that use Majestic Dragon as one of the required tuners for the deck. So it's a really fun deck. I enjoyed building it. It has a one trick playstyle, the point being to get out your Stardust Dragon or your Red Dragon Archfiend, so then you can get out the Majestic Dragon and make your big synchro play with those cards and this card. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, I am running 2 Majestic Dragon. I decided to run 2 of this card since it is a main important factor of the deck. You can easily special summon it from the graveyard as well. I just wanted to rely on 2 of this card for the fact that if something were to happen, like this card being banished, it'd ruin the whole play style of the deck and the main purpose of the deck. And if I ran 3, it got kind of cloggy. So I figured I'd stick with 2. Plus, you also have options to set it up in the graveyard with cards like Dragon Shrine. Then you can just easily special summon it back to the field with some of your other cards in the deck. So that's why I like to run 2 of this card. And it says this card cannot be used as a synchro material for a monster except for the synchro summon of a Majestic monster. So you're limited to just that play with this card as well. So remember that. And I also run 2 Stardust Phantom. When this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, either by battle or card effect, and sent to your graveyard, you can select 1 Stardust Dragon in your graveyard and special summon it in face-up defense position. You can remove from play this card in your graveyard and select 1 face-up Dragon-type Synchro monster you control. And once per turn, that Synchro monster cannot be destroyed by battle, but each time the effect is applied, it loses 800 attack and defense at the end of damage step. So it's a more protection card, but it can also set up, if you end up losing your Stardust Dragon later on in the game, to get it back onto the field to reuse. Since, like I said, Stardust Dragon is one of your most important cards in the deck, since you need that, and then 1 level 1 non-tuner and Majestic Dragon to summon out your main card of the deck, which is your Majestic Star Dragon. So that's why I like to rely on 2 of this, just for a little more added backup support to the card. Plus, being a non-tuner level 1 makes it a candidate to also use with your Majestic Star Dragon for your plays. And I also run 1 Stardust Xiaolong. I only run 1 of this card. Once again, it's a Dragon Shrine graveyard setup. When you synchro summon Stardust Dragon, you can special summon this card from your graveyard in face-up attack position. And once per turn, if this card be destroyed by battle, it is not. So you just have more options in the graveyard to use with this card. So I like to use it for that play. Like I said, though, I only run the 1. You want it in the graveyard either by Foolish Burial, or even if you use it, let's say, for a synchro, you can put it in the graveyard and then use it right then and there. But you only need the 1 copy once it's set up in the graveyard, and gives you that additional monster to summon out, and then you have the Majestic Star Dragon to go for that play as well. And that's more of the cards that focus on the Majestic Star lineup. For added support for the actual Stardust Dragon summons or other, synchro summons, I run 3 Junk Synchron. It's an easy monster that can make use of lower level monsters in your graveyard, special summoning them to the field. Level 2 or lower monsters just at the cost of negating their effects. But he can make up a good amount of your synchro plays or even some of your link plays, depending on what you want to play and set up on the field. That's why I like to run the 3 of this card, just very searchable with the deck as well, with some other cards. And I also run 3 Junk Forward, another easy special summon to the field, since you want to, basically swarm the field with plenty of monsters to use for resources. So just having no monsters makes it so you can special summon this card from your hand, giving you another level 3 option along with Junk Synchron on the field. And then if you use Junk Synchron's effect to revive a level 2 monster, you have the 3 monsters on the field for your level 8 Synchro. And additional special summons for level 1, I run 3 Jester Confit. Sometimes with my plays, especially since I run Destrudo in the deck, I can be short 1 level for a synchro play. So having just this easy special summon of Jester Confit on the field makes it so that I can have my level 8 play to go for with the deck. So I like to run the 3 of this card for that extra consistency. And I also run 2 the Tricky. Now this one I like just for the graveyard setup for some of my other monsters that I run in the deck, including Glow Bulb and Quillbolt Hedgehog. So I run 2 of this just for the easy discard to special summon this card from my hand. Also, just not taking up a normal summon with this card, then allowing me to summon out Junk Synchron can be the level 8 synchro play I can go for that can get out my main monster, which is Stardust Dragon, and then go from my plays with those there. And also, going off of the same basis of Tricky, just having more of an easy special summon without the discard cost, and just having, if your controller controls a monster and only they control it, you can special summon Cyber Dragon to the field. So once again, early on, if I have no monsters, and I can special summon this, and then have Junk Synchron out on the field, same policy applied, giving me the level 8 add up to make Stardust Dragon for my plays. And then I also run 2 Quillbolt Hedgehog. With this one, if you control a face-up tuner monster, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. And if this card was summoned this way, banish it when it leaves the field. I run 2 of this card just for that banish resource, because then if I use it with cards like Junk Synchron, which can negate its effect, that's a different story. But if I want an easy special summon, if I summon something else off of Junk Synchron, I have the option for Quillbolt Hedgehog to help me with that additional search. And I also run the 1 Armageddon Knight. Now this is here just as an additional option, so I can send Destrudo to the graveyard, giving me a level 7 play if I special summon Destrudo back to the field. And if I have Jester Confit on the field or another level 1 option, that's a level 8 play with just Armageddon Knight and that other card alone. So it's very, very useful when I can make that happen also. And for some additional 1-ofs, I run 1 Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Frison, 1 Glow Up Bulb, and 1 Gen X Ally Birdman. Just additional tuners with Gen X Ally Birdman, especially being able to let me reuse resources for an easy special summon, Glow Up Bulb for the easy special summon from the graveyard, and the same applying to Destrudo from my hand or graveyard. Definitely does help with my tuner monsters on the field and with my other monsters I use in the deck, just for a little added resource backup for my plays. They definitely do all come in handy. Destrudo especially, since I can set it up with Foolish Burial, Armageddon Knight, or even Dragon's Shrine, which I will run in the deck as well, just for the added backup. And then lastly, I decided not to stick with any hand traps in the deck, focusing more on the plays I can make with all the cards I run. But I did decide to run 3 Psyframe Gear Gamma and 1 Psyframe Driver, just for the fact that I could stop potentially my opponent's monster effects and then get out 2 monsters if it's on my turn for a level 8 synchro play, and then use these 2 for that play to go into. And once again, like I said, it just helps stopping my opponent's own plays for, they're trying to make against me, and then giving me those synchro options. If you didn't want to run the Psyframe Gear Gamma lineup, you could try taking these cards out, adding in, let's say, an additional Tricky, and also trying out the Tuning Spell lineup, which I decided to take out of this version of the deck since it didn't really focus so much on the Junk or Synchron plays, but sometimes tuning with its graveyard setup and just being able to search it out definitely does come in handy. So like I said, if you wanted to not run this, take that out for the tuning playset, and then also the additional Tricky to use. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Instant Fusion. Now this one definitely does come in handy for the additional options for my fusion monsters in the extra deck that I can use to adjust the levels depending on which one I want to get out on the field, whether it be a level 3, 4, or 5 Instant Fusion, and you don't use life for much else in the deck, so aside from Destrudo. But if you use Instant Fusion first and rely on Destrudo later on, it's not as big as a cost. So 3 of this card definitely does come in handy for that easy summon, and then with the additional monsters I run in the deck, a big help for sure. And I also run 2 Mind Control. The best thing, obviously, is using my opponent's own cards for my own plays, depending on what they have on the field. I can easily adjust it to other cards I run in my deck for additional synchro plays, and just benefiting off of their own monsters to make way for my bigger ones. And then for a few more 1-ofs, I run 1 Reasoning, which just with all the different level monsters I run, makes for an easy special summon at my opponent's cost, since most of the time they're guessing what kind of card I will mill off the different levels. Also 1 1-for-1. This one is probably the easiest way to get out the Majestic Dragon, so I can use that for my big go-to play in the deck especially. And I run 1 Foolish Burial and 1 Dragon Shrine. We talked about these plenty enough in the video already. It's your graveyard setup, especially with cards like I said. Xiaolong definitely does come in handy when it's already in the graveyard and set up by you as well. And also 1 Monster Reborn and 1 Foolish Burial, plenty of search for Junk Synchron. And Monster Reborn can definitely help just getting you back any of your resources that are in the graveyard that you need for some of your plays. And lastly, to finish off the main deck, I run 1 Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine. With this one, it's the only trap I run in the deck, so I'm not really limited to what I can get out. With this card, it's just an easy special summon once I set it on the field, able to activate it and give me a level 4 monster to use for my additional special summon of cards on the field. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run your main card, and I only run the one because you're probably just going to get it out once during the game, Majestic Star Dragon. You need Majestic Dragon, Stardust Dragon, and one non-tuner monster to make it. You contribute this card to negate the activation of an opponent's spell, trap, card, or effect monster's effect, and destroy all cards your opponent controls. And once per turn, you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. If the negate effect can be activated, you can activate it once at the start of during that turn. And during the end phase, return this card from the field to the extra deck and special summon one Stardust Dragon from your graveyard. So another reason being why I only run one of this card is for the fact that you can easily special summon this card back to the field to use and then make use of this card once it's back in the extra deck and summon it out. And it's a powerhouse being at 3,800 attack. I also run the one Majestic Red Dragon being almost the exact same card, same level and everything, but you know, depending on the play you want to go for and summon out, you can go for either one of these cards. I just decided to focus on this being the main card of the deck since it is a more focus on a lot of the cards that you say used with this build. And since you also need one Stardust Dragon and one Red Dragon Archfiend for both of those plays as well, if your opponent also, you know, interrupts one of these summons and you're unable to summon them out, or, you know, they're taken away from your extra deck, you have options to go on to as backup going into either one of the other variants since they're the same levels. So if your plan is ruined, you have a backup option. And just for additional synchro support, I run one Balmung, one Formula Synchron, one Crystal Wing, one Shooting Riser Dragon. This one definitely does help for some setup. For Frisson, one Dawn Dragster and one Black Rose Dragon for the level 7 plays. And for the Link monsters, I run one Landfornicus and one Link Karibo. I just run these. I have plenty of level 1 options, so Link Karibo definitely does come in handy. And Landfornicus, with all the different monsters I'm running, just the additional arrow support, depending on what play I want to go for, is a great addition as well. And lastly, I run one Carbonalo Warrior, one Sea Monster Theseus, and one Dragoness the Wicked Knight. These cards just help additionally for the adjustments of synchro plays like I wanted to do, like I already said. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, this was definitely a fun deck profile to make, focusing on the Majestic Star lineup. So I can't wait to work on some other 5D decks. They definitely do seem like an interesting bunch to work on and build. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.